Friends, one question most of the students ask me, sir, while we compute the net worth for the purpose of computing the applicability of IND AS, should we consider capital reserves? That is a very common doubt. Okay, now if you see the criteria or the components that are included in the computation of net worth, capital reserves can be considered only if it is in the nature of promoter's contribution. Okay, now capital reserves could be of many types. Capital reserves ideally means a reserves which has been created for a specific purpose, and that specific purpose generally will be capital purposes. Okay, that is, we have the examples of investment subsidy allowance which is created as per the income tax law, or sometimes it could be some grants received from governments which has been carried as a capital reserve, all those things. Okay, now any capital reserves which is shown in the audited financial statements can be considered only if it is in the form of promoter's contribution. Now what is this promoter's contribution? Sometimes when you receive some capital reserves, let's say capital reserves in the form of grant, let's say you get it in the form of a government grant from government. Okay, now why did you receive this grant? You have set up, let's say I am giving an example, you have set up a factory, in some of the backward district, and for the purpose of promoting investment in such backward districts, the government has given you some grant, and they say that this grant is towards your investment in that particular project. It is linked to your investment in the project, but per se you don't give any equity shares to the government. No, even though they say that it is towards that investment, okay, which you have made in the project, you are not required to give any equity. That is why it is known as a grant. Okay, but if you see the accounting for government grants, okay, that specific standard for that requires you to capitalize it as a capital reserves. You have to show it as a capital reserves, and this capital reserves is in the nature of a promoter's contribution. Here the government is giving you a grant to participate in your project. So it is a promoter's contribution. You are not bound to repay it back. So such capital grants or capital reserves, okay, which is in the nature of promoter's contribution, alone can be considered for the purpose of computing the net worth. And all other government grants or all other capital reserves, irrespective of its nature, if it is not in the nature of promoter's contribution, should not be considered for computing the net worth. Friends, I hope that is very clear to you. Okay, now you will have to see when you have an exam question, you will have to see whether this grant is in the nature of a promoter's contribution. Only if it is in the nature of promoter's contribution, you should consider here, otherwise just ignore it. And how to compute, how to identify whether it is in the nature of promoter's contribution and all, we will learn when we take the specific standard on it, and I am not spending time to explain those principles right now, because anyway we will take it separately. Okay, thank you.